polls are closed. The results are in.
In Mississippi, incumbent Governor Tate Reeves just defeated Brandon Presley.
Mississippi did not bend.
Ohio voters decided to protect abortion access.
We must be a pro-mother party. We need a national strategy.
Tennessee Joe has got to go!
Pro-Palestinian activists are now calling for a national day of action.
Free Palestine!
Prompting the Pentagon to issue an internal threat advisory for DOD-run facilities.
Biden's flailing and failing, and Trump is on the rise.
Things start to get really bleak for the Democrats among voters younger than 35. 48% now supporting Trump.
Chicago residents are sick of living in a sanctuary city, and they're letting their leaders know it.
You, as a resident of Chicago, believe that we should remain in a sanctuary city.
Pandas living at Washington's National Zoo are the most famous and fluffiest Chinese ambassadors. Now they're going home.
Communist Party of China just doesn't need to do panda diplomacy anymore.
It's a sign of just how icy U.S.-China relations have become.
Here we go. Fox News alert now. Democrats secured full control of the Virginia state legislature.
The party maintaining their grip on the state Senate while flipping Virginia's House of Delegates. We also have our eyes on the governor races in Kentucky and Mississippi.
Lots of results to get through with you on this Wednesday morning. Peter Doocy is live at the White House, where, Peter, I'm sure the White House is taking a look at some of the data, and some of the data probably makes them happy.
For sure. And we had been hearing over the last couple of weeks that Virginia is turning red, but it's not, at least not today. Governor Glenn Youngkin took a big step backwards. His next year in office is going to be a lot more difficult because that plan to flip the Senate and keep the House in Virginia did not work. Republicans lost both. And Youngkin's pitch was to use GOP control to install a 15-week abortion ban. Now, that's not going to happen. Voters didn't want it. And that issue was even bigger in Ohio, where voters approved a measure to protect abortion rights in the state's constitution. The Republican Attorney General in Kentucky, in that race, the Trump-backed Daniel Cameron, lost his bid to unseat Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, who won again.
Just look at what we were up against. 5 super PACs. My opponent's super PAC. Mitch McConnell's super PAC, Rand Paul's super PAC, the Club for Growth, the Republican Governors Association, all running ads full of hate and division. And you know what? We need them all at the same time.
There was one bright spot for Republicans on the national map. The Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves held off a Democratic challenger.
We all now know what it means in a state like Mississippi when you stand up to the national liberals and when you stand up to Joe Biden. They threw everything they had at Mississippi. $13 million they threw at Mississippi. Mississippi did not bend. Mississippi is not for sale.
Maybe this was a preview of 2024, maybe not. Biden and Trump didn't really prominently play in any of these races, but the big issues are not going away in a year before the next national election. And a lot of voters have not had a chance to vote their feelings on things like Roe v. Wade being overturned. Back to you.
Peter, what do you think the reason is that the House and the Senate Democrats grabbed both of those in Virginia?
Well, there was a lot of advertising on TV and on the radio and online in this area over the last couple months where the Democratic candidates were basically putting forward that Republicans wanted to get rid of abortion. They wanted to basically restrict it out of existence. And that's not exactly what Governor Youngkin was proposing. He was proposing a 15-week ban, but the Democrats spent a ton of money. It was everywhere, every single thing that I would be watching in between changing diapers and giving a 9-month-old baby a bottle. You turn on the TV, the ads are right there in your face. And so they spent the money, and it paid off big time for them last night because Youngkin was not really even talking about it like this was a possibility. He was saying, yeah, the House, we hold the House, flip the Senate. Now they don't have control of either. And something else that we've been hearing a ton about over the last couple weeks in the horse race coverage of the Republican primary is if Glenn Youngkin has a big night and he can advance his agenda and show that he can turn a purple state really red, then he could jump in at the last minute and be the Trump alternative. Well, he did not have a big night. And so it seems like if that was going to happen, they're going to need a different argument.
You're absolutely right. And Peter mentioned his baby, who you took to the polls with, right? Because you sent a picture of her voting.
They told her she was too young to vote.
She's 9 months.
What country is this?
All right. All right. Peter, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Could have bring the footprints. That would have worked.
Yeah.
All right, 6 minutes now after the hour. Let's expand on this just a little bit. Abortion seemed to be the key reason. There's new CNN polls, though, that talked about registered voters saying that there's no chance whatsoever when it comes to the presidential election in 2024 that they would vote for Joe Biden, as Trump narrowly beats Biden in a hypothetical rematch. Lawrence, you have what's going on with these two. This is the second poll in 3 days, which is not good news for 2024 for the Democrats.
Yeah, if you talk to Democrat insiders, they say don't pay attention to the polls. And there was a lot of talk about that Washington Post poll where they said, you know, this may be just an outlier. Well, that all changed with this new CNN poll saying the chances of voting for Biden or Trump. When you look at Joe Biden, 51% of Americans are saying there's no way in hell that I'm going to vote for Biden. And when you look at Donald Trump, 48% say there's no way. But then when you go down to the hypothetical, and this is the key thing right here, 45% of folks say they will vote for Biden, and 49% of folks say that they will vote for Trump. 5% say other, and then 2% do not plan to vote. Why is this critical? You're going to see a lot of candidates making the argument in the primary that they're the only ones that can beat Joe Biden. Well, that argument has been stripped away now, looking at the polling now, because it looks like Donald Trump, in fact, can beat Joe Biden in an election right now.
So Lawrence, when it's between the two men, plus you factor in RFK Jr., that Siena poll with the New York Times on Monday suggested that RFK Jr. could actually beat both of them, Trump and Biden, with people under, I think, 35 years old. But if you don't look at the candidates and you look at the issues, we discovered yesterday the number one issue, again, for Democrats that they can win on is abortion.
Yeah, so when you talk to Donald Trump, though, he has had a different message on the issue than the traditional Republican Party. And by the way, he also keeps some of the Republicans as well because he's the one who got them that Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. But he's saying, look, I want to leave it with the states. I don't want to get involved from a federal standpoint. He's gotten some criticism from Republicans, but nationally, it looks like the voters are standing with him.
How stunning is it that with all the negative publicity on Trump, they say 93% of every story on Trump is negative, even with Republicans going at him and Democrats every day building their rundowns around him. He is beating the president. Even with January 6th, 4 trials and 91 charges, he's beating the president by 4 points. That is stunning.
I think because of his age. Joe Biden, we hear that continuously. We see him fall on the stage. It doesn't convey strength to other countries. Then we also see what's happening in Israel. We saw what happened in Ukraine. We saw what happened with the Afghanistan withdrawal. Plus the economy. We hear that over and over when you go to the diners. It's economy. And people are not making as much money. Taxes are up. Interest rates are up. People can't afford to buy a house or sell their house right now because they know they're probably not going to be able to do it. And we talked about that yesterday. We're not energy independent anymore. We're dependent on other countries.
Yep,
I think the list just keeps in the border.
So
what about independence? Do you also have that?
Yeah, so real quickly, Ainsley, I think the one major thing is the last election, there was so much focus on emotions. Right now, people are feeling the pain on those issues that you just cited. And it all goes down to independent voters. So when you look at it, Joe Biden would get 41%. Donald Trump would get 45% of independent voters. And it goes back to the bread and butter issues that we're talking to. I know people sometimes think that we're in diners, that they're all Republican. There's some independent voters there. There's some Democrat voters as well. There's some people that switched over to the other side just because of Joe Biden. And when you talk with the folks, they're saying, look, we're having to sell our cars because we just can't afford to in our family right now. all covered the baby formula scandal and the inflation stuff that was happening.
Look at how this has changed since 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, he had independents. He had a substantial lead. He still leads with women. And with men, it's basically a dead heat. But where President Trump is catching up is with the black voters. He's got 23%, second straight poll. It's still low, but a lot better than 8. That's what he had last time.
More black men than black women, right?
I did not see that breakout, but I think you're probably right. And Latino voters, the split, 50-46. Think about that. The Democrats were going to say the future is ours because the Hispanic vote is ours. They have been wrong on that.
And what about the Jewish community? How will they vote in the next election?
So what you're seeing is all the minority groups, which traditionally the Democrats get, from the Jewish vote to the black vote to the Hispanic votes, are saying, look, things were just better in the last administration. And they're showing, to Ainsley's point, interest in the Republican Party. What the former president has to do now, how does he get those people to the polls right now? It's easy to say, look, they like me, they would vote for me, but how do you get them there?
From registered to likely voters.
That's exactly right.
And by the way, Haley beats Biden by 6 in the same poll, and DeSantis beats Biden by 2.
Yeah. And you've got another number with the young folk.
Yeah, so when you look at the young voters, this is my generation right here. Traditionally goes for the Democratic Party. Only 47% will vote for Joe Biden. 48% say they will vote for Donald Trump. When you look at these mortgages, the interest rates, these young people were planning on buying their first houses. Yeah. They're not able to do that anymore. What they're paying for gas is hurting them. So it comes back down to the issues that are impacting every day.
That surprised me, though. Could you believe that Trump won with the young voters? Because I think young voters in college, in their 20s, they're taught to be Democrats, they're taught to be more progressive, care more about the environment than national security.
But they were also sold a bill of goods because when Joe Biden was running, he said, I'm going to do something about your school loans and I'm going to take care of you. And then, of course, the U.S. Supreme Court said, you can't do that, Joe. But to your point about the diners, yesterday, the number one issue, and one lady I talked to in the 8 o'clock hour, she summarized it perfectly regarding, are you better off today than you were, with the last administration? And she said, no, I hurt a lot. And it comes down to gas and groceries, because when you can't put food on the table or gas in your car, you're thinking, I need a new horse.
Well, Brian, the president made a gamble. He made a promises, and he said, if I just punt it, if I just put it out there for it to be out there, then they're not going to blame me. Well, it looks like these young voters are saying, you told me that you were going to get it done, and you didn't get it done.
Right, and it's just total bribery. And by the way, he's still trying to do it. He's trying to go around the courts. Economy number 1, voting rights number 2, crime number 3, gun policy tied with that, immigration, foreign policy, abortion, working down the line. Now the Democrats are saying to themselves, do we have a party problem or do we have a Biden problem? And that's what they're going to decide, because you got Axelrod coming forward, Tim Ryan coming forward, saying, Joe, don't run. Well, so these are 2 Democrats.
You got to figure at the White House today, they're going, okay, we had bad polls earlier in this week, but we had a really good election night. And as long as abortion is on the ballot, and we had David Carlucci with us a little while ago, Democrats strategist, and he said Democrats are trying to put abortion on as many state ballots for next year as possible because it's a winner for Democrats and it's very problematic for Republicans.
I mean, you heard what they're doing. Your own son, who lives in the Washington area, Virginia area, every time he's watching TV, that's the message they're sending out.
And the ad that was the killer ad for Cameron, against Cameron, was a 9-year-old was pregnant and he's going to make her have the baby.
Right.
And they kept running it. He had no answer. He chose not to. Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, South Dakota all say they're going to put abortion on the ballot. They're going to try. So they're trying. If not the president.
Why didn't they learn from what happened with Tudor Dixon? And why didn't they learn from, what was his name, Mastriano?
That's right, because
they were saying no abortion, no exceptions, and they lost,
well,
and that was
like
really the issue.
The former president is the only one that has a message to combat this in a general election.
Which is don't talk about it.
But Nikki Haley also said, don't even talk to me about a national ban. To get 60 Senate votes has happened very few times.
Impossible.
And at one time, it's impossible to get 60 people to vote the same way.
It should not even be an issue.
And yesterday, Glenn Youngkin lost ultimately because he thought that he could come up with a moderate plan that could be a model for other Republicans going forward at 15 weeks. But, to Peter's point, people yesterday morning were talking about President Youngkin. Today, they're not saying that because he will not be a last-minute ad.
After the Nikki Haley debate, when she said both sides, look, we don't have the 60 votes, we don't have this, don't vilify, but I'm not in support of an abortion, but I'm also, this is an issue that we're not going to win either way. And I had a friend come up to me who, she works for the Democratic Party, she tries to raise money for candidates, and she said, we love Nikki Haley. She has to win.
I think
Major Democrat.
I think it's also important to know as we go that the Mississippi governor, Tate Reeves, he ran on abortion, and he still won in that state, and Democrats were expecting to pick that up. He had a message for the voters. Ron DeSantis ran in Florida on it as well. It just looks like it depends on the candidate.
All right, Lawrence, great analysis.
Thank you.
Over at the big board.
Now I know why he was stretching out before the show. I go, why is he stretching out? I didn't know he'd be doing so much walking.
Yeah, you taught me how to do this.
Right, we don't want an Aaron Rodgers thing happen.
Exactly
you come out and you do.
Is that why you were playing Rocky in the corner and doing squats?
Well, we see.
Yeah.
You're okay, right?
I feel a little tightness, but I think I'll make it.
You did great, Lawrence.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.